My uncle said. You've always taken things too personally, Alina. This is just business. So I shut off the cafe's power, payroll and Wi-Fi and made tea. They begged. I invoiced. 15 grand or freeze. The last thing my uncle said before I stood up to leave was, you've always taken things too personally, Alina. This is just business. I didn't say a word. I just picked up my coat from the back of my chair and walked out of the cafe for the last time. My name's Alina Torres. I'm 29. I live in St. Paul, Minnesota. And on New Year's Eve, my adoptive aunt and uncle finally showed me how little I actually meant to them. The dinner had been tense from the start. Camila kept fidgeting with her wine glass, and Rob wasn't even pretending to smile. I thought maybe it was about the holiday rush or a vendor mix-up. But then Julian, my cousin, leaned back and said, we've been talking, and we think it's time to simplify things. That's when Camila slid a folder across the table toward me. We're restructuring the business, she said, her voice fake gentle. And unfortunately, your name will be coming off the deed. I just stared at her. I didn't ask why. I didn't ask what changed. I already knew. I'd built that cafe with them from nothing, painted the walls, hired the first employees, did all the bookkeeping and payroll. I'd put my own name on the electricity bill and the merchant services accounts because I had better credit. I'd even stayed late every Christmas Eve so Camila could rest her feet. But apparently I wasn't family enough to own a share. I nodded, stood up and left my untouched plate on the table. Outside, the snow had started to fall again. The streets were mostly empty, just a few drunk kids shouting about midnight and some couples walking arm in arm under the streetlights. I walked to my car, brushed off the windshield and didn't cry. I didn't feel anything, not yet. The drive back to my apartment was slow. The kind of slow that makes you feel like the snow is conspiring with your thoughts. The kind that gives your mind too much time to run its fingers through old memories. Once I got home, I didn't take off my coat. I sat on the couch, turned on my laptop and started clicking. The cafe's Clover system? Deactivated. The utility portal? Service shut off. Effective immediately. The water pipes would freeze by morning. Online orders would bounce. POS would crash. Every notification would be a new kind of panic for them. And me? I made tea. Mint with honey. Then I watched the storm outside my window as my phone started lighting up like a slot machine. Hey Alina. Did something happen with the checkout system? Why is the Square reader offline? Did we forget to pay the power bill? Julian sent a voice memo full of swearing. Camila texted me twice, once all sweet, and then again with all caps rage. I didn't reply. Instead, I set my phone face down and stared at the ceiling. For the first time in years, there was silence. No last-minute requests. No guilt trips. No, you're the responsible one. Just me and the thought that kept echoing in my head. They never saw me as family. Only labor. And now they can see what it feels like without me. Back then I used to say the cafe was our business. Like I actually believed it. I guess that's the funny part now, how long I let myself think I was part of something. I was 19 when we opened. Julian had just turned 20 and decided he wanted to be a visionary artist. Which meant he posted lo-fi beats on SoundCloud and spent whole afternoons rearranging succulents on our cafe windowsill for Instagram. Camila said he had a gift. He's the dreamer. You're the practical one, Alina. She said that a lot like it was a compliment. Like being the practical one wasn't just a nice way of saying, you'll be the one holding everything up. Julian didn't even work full-time. He'd breeze in mid-morning wearing overpriced hoodies and disappear again before the lunch rush. Sometimes he'd bring his laptop and pretend to edit. But mostly he sat in the corner booth with his friends and used up our free Wi-Fi. Meanwhile, I was behind the counter managing tips, training new baristas, fixing the milk frother myself because we couldn't afford a technician. I filed taxes, ordered inventory, and chased after bounced vendor checks. I stayed late so the closing crew didn't mess up the till count. I even made our first payroll system in Google Sheets. They let me. Of course they did. Julian borrowed my car so often I started keeping the spare key in the front drawer. Once he dented the passenger door and claimed someone must have pushed a shopping cart too hard. I paid to fix it anyway. Camila said, it's just a car, Alina. He doesn't have your sense of responsibility. When he couldn't cover his rent in his studio apartment, I wrote him a check. When he overdrafted his account buying studio monitors, I sent a Zelle. Nobody thanked me. It wasn't even expected. It was just assumed, Alina's the one who fixes things. The worst part? I bought into it. Every time Camila said, he's the artist, sweetie, you're the backbone. I believed that was love. That maybe if I kept showing up, kept being useful, they'd eventually see me as more than a spare set of hands. But the moment that still stings the most? I was 22. I had been saving for college, one online class at a time. Then the IRS letter came. We had missed a quarterly tax payment for the cafe. Camila was panicked. Rob went quiet. We could lose everything, she whispered. So I emptied my savings. Every last cent. Didn't even hesitate. They didn't ask me to. They didn't have to. That night, I printed the confirmation page from the payment portal and slid it under the office door. I thought Camila would say something the next morning, hug me maybe. But all she said was, good girl. I knew you'd come through. And that was that. It was late. We had just finished inventory after a shipment got delayed and left us short on syrups and almond milk for 2 whole days. I was still in my apron, sweat drying on my neck. I just wanted to go home, microwave some soup, and collapse. But they were waiting for me. Camila, Rob, and Julian camped out in the back office like it was an intervention. The lights were too bright. Someone had opened the window, and the cold air made the space feel like a dentist's waiting room. Sit down, Alina, Camila said, with that customer service smile she used when she was about to say something awful. I didn't sit. I leaned against the wall, arms crossed. What's going on? Julian cleared his throat like he was giving a speech. So I've been thinking about taking the next step, professionally. Here we go. I found this studio space. It's downtown. It's perfect, like, acoustics, gear potential, everything. I stared at him. Okay. Rob chimed in. It's a great opportunity, Alina. He's finally serious about his music. But he needs help with the startup capital. I blinked. And Camila stepped forward, hands clasped like a pastor before prayer. We were thinking, you could refinance your apartment. I laughed. Out loud. For a second I actually thought it was a joke. But nobody else laughed. You're serious, I said, eyes moving from face to face. It's just equity, Camila said, like she was explaining fractions to a child. You're not using it. It's sitting there. It's my home. Julian rolled his eyes. You always say you'd do anything for family. But the one time I need real help. Real help. My voice cracked. I've paid your rent. Your gear. Your therapy. I bought your damn vape pens when you were too anxious to go outside. That's not fair, he started. No, what's not fair is expecting me to go into debt so you can rent a glorified closet and record your next flop. Julian's face went red. Wow. So you're just bitter. Classic Alina. Always the martyr. Camila stepped in like a referee. Alina, let's not make this emotional. We're talking about a loan. You have a stable job, a good credit score. Because I've spent my 20s covering for you people, I snapped. While Julian spent his work hours playing FIFA and calling it creative reset. Rob stood now too, trying to calm things down. Let's just talk about it, okay? No, I said. Not loud, not angry. Just final. Camila stiffened. So that's it? You're turning your back on your own cousin. I'm keeping my home. That's not betrayal. That's survival. Julian scoffed. Unbelievable. You're so selfish. I looked at him. Really looked. The grown man with zero savings, a fake leather jacket he didn't pay for, and the balls to call me selfish. I grabbed my coat and walked out. No yelling. No drama. No slam doors. Just a quiet exit, 10 years overdue. They showed up just after noon, all 3 of them. I was still in pajama pants halfway through reheating soup when the buzzer rang. At first I thought it was a delivery. Then I looked at the camera feed. Julian, Camila, and Rob stood outside my building's front door, huddled against the snow, looking absolutely wrecked. Camila's makeup was smudged. Rob looked like he hadn't slept. Julian's hoodie was soaked through, his hands stuffed deep into his pockets, like he didn't know what else to do with them. I buzzed them in. Not because I was feeling generous. I just wanted to see how far they were willing to crawl. They shuffled into my apartment like a funeral procession. Nobody took off their coats. The silence was thick, awkward. The only sound was the humming radiator and the faint hiss of the kettle behind me. I didn't offer seats. Utilities are down, Rob said, rubbing his hands together. The cafe's frozen. Pipes might burst. I know, I said flatly. Customers were outside this morning, Camila added. Couldn't open. Lost 2 big catering orders. I nodded. I saw. Julian's head jerked up. You think this is funny? No, I said. I think it's overdue. Camila's voice softened. We didn't come here to fight. I crossed my arms. Then why did you come? She hesitated. Because we need to work something out. Julian chimed in, his tone defensive. You made your point, okay? We get it. You're mad. You think this is about being mad? I asked, blinking slowly. You cut me out of something I helped build. And you didn't even flinch. It was a mistake, Camila said quickly. We overreacted. Let's just reset. You help us get things back up and running and we move forward like this never happened. I laughed. Like, really laughed. Camila blinked. What's so funny? You think I'm coming back? For free. I shook my head. You've used up all your family favors. This time there's a price. Julian scoffed. Oh my God. I ignored him. I'll reconnect the accounts. Power, merchant services, payroll, access, everything. But you'll wire me $15,000. Call it back pay. Camila's mouth fell open. Alina. I held up a hand. 15,000. Or stay cold in cash only. Rob stared at the floor. You're blackmailing us, Julian snapped. No. I'm invoicing you. There's a difference. Camila looked between them. We don't have that kind of money right now. Then I guess you'll need a new business model. I turned back toward the kitchen and lifted my tea mug. Doors behind you. They didn't move at first. Like they were waiting for me to soften. I didn't. After a moment, Rob nudged Julian toward the door. Camila followed, still shaking her head in disbelief. At the threshold, she turned back one more time. We're family, Alina. No, I said. I was free labor. You just didn't realize there'd be an invoice. Then I shut the door. They left like people who didn't know where else to go. Julian muttered something under his breath as he stepped into the hallway, something about how I'd regret this. But even he didn't sound convinced. His voice cracked halfway through it. Rob didn't say a word. Just gave me this long look, like he finally realized what it felt like to be powerless in a room he used to control. I didn't feel triumphant. I didn't feel angry. I just felt done. When the door clicked shut behind them, I stood there for a while, listening to the hum of the radiator, the wind outside, the nothingness in between. No texts. No calls. No calendar reminders. Just silence. And it felt luxurious. Like space I didn't know I needed until I had it. I made myself a sandwich and ate it at the counter, barefoot, watching a squirrel try to fight the wind on the fire escape. Then I opened my laptop and got to work. Not on the cafe. Not on invoices or tax prep or tracking Julian's bounce Venmo requests. No, this was mine. A fresh business plan. Logo sketches. Domain name ideas. I've been toying with the idea for years, consulting for small creative startups. Helping young entrepreneurs get organized, get real, and avoid being swallowed whole by family, investments, or passion project leeches. That night, I opened a new business account under my name. No co-signers. No shared access. Just me. I called it North Loop Advisory. Clean. Professional. Unattached. I didn't know if it would work yet. But it didn't matter. Because every choice was mine now. No one asking me to co-sign anything. No one expecting free labor or guilt-wrapped chores disguised as just one favor. No one pretending I was family while they kept me locked in a supporting role. I was out. I didn't pack boxes. I didn't change cities. But make no mistake, this was an exodus. From them. From the version of me who always said yes. From the girl who thought being the responsible one meant earning love. That girl was gone. And the woman who replaced her? She had a business to build. The email came on a Tuesday morning about 6 weeks later. Subject line, Camila's birthday. I almost deleted it without reading. But something made me open it. It was from Rob. Camila's birthday is coming up next weekend. She'd really love to see you. No pressure, but it would mean a lot if you showed up. Let's just move forward. No apology. No accountability. Just the usual detour around the truth. I sat there staring at the screen, sipping my coffee, letting the familiar ache wash over me and pass. Then I typed exactly what I needed to say. You removed me from your family. I've accepted it. You should too. That was it. I hit send. No more pretending I was one olive branch away from being welcomed back. No more holding my breath, waiting for a real sorry. It wasn't coming. And I didn't need it anymore. I didn't hear back. Not from Rob. Not from Camila. Not from Julian. The silence that followed wasn't awkward. It wasn't sad. It was clean. A few days later, I left for Iceland. I'd always wanted to go but never had the time or the money or the freedom. But now I had all three. I didn't post about it. Didn't announce it. I just went. I hiked black sand beaches. Drank hot coffee in windy fishing towns. Let the sulfur steam from the blue lagoon soak into my bones. My phone stayed off most of the time. One morning I sat in a little bookstore cafe in Reykjavik, bought a stack of postcards, and sent one to my apartment back home. I wrote just 2 words. Freedom. Finally. And as I dropped it into the red metal mailbox outside, I felt something shift. Not like before, those small flickers of clarity. This was different. Like my body had finally caught up to the choice my heart made weeks ago. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't looking back. They could keep their guilt, their silence, their birthday invitations pretending nothing happened. I was done trying to be someone they could love. Now I was someone I could love. It was early spring when Rob came back. I hadn't seen him in person since that day at my apartment. So when I opened the door and found him standing in the hallway, holding a paper bag and looking 10 years older, I just leaned on the frame and waited. He looked like he didn't know where to begin. The cafe shut down, he said finally. I didn't answer. Julian moved in with some girl in Northeast. No job. Says he's taking a break from the stress. Still nothing from me. Camila, she's not doing great. He paused. Health-wise. I let the silence stretch between us. Heavy but not cruel. Just true. I thought maybe you'd want to know, he added. I nodded once. Okay. You've told me. He shifted the bag in his hands. I brought those ginger teas you like. From that place on Selby. You didn't need to. I know, he said and finally looked me in the eye. But I wanted to. I stepped aside and let him in. Not out of kindness. Just curiosity. I wanted to hear what he'd say when he wasn't trying to fix or spin or sell. He sat down stiffly on the edge of the couch, like a guest in a stranger's house, which I guess he was. I don't know how we got here, he said quietly. I think we thought we were doing the right thing. Keeping the cafe going. Supporting Julian's dream. Telling you were strong. I stayed standing. We were wrong, he said. About a lot of things. He looked up at me, eyes red-rimmed but dry. You were never just the helper. You were the heart of everything. We didn't see it until you were gone. I believed him. But I didn't feel moved. I just felt tired. You thought I was your lifeboat, I said, voice even. Turns out I was the whole ship. He didn't argue. I'm not here to ask for anything, he said. Not money. Not forgiveness. Good, I said. He nodded slowly and stood. At the door he hesitated. If things were different. They're not, I said. And he left. No dramatic speech. No hug. Just the sound of the latch clicking behind him. I didn't watch him walk away. I didn't cry. I poured the ginger tea into a mug, sat by the window, and took a slow sip. It was bitter. But clean. And more than anything, it was mine. 1 year later, I barely thought about them anymore. North Loop Advisory had grown faster than I expected. A couple of small brands became steady contracts. Word of mouth did the rest. By fall, I had 3 clients on retainer, a proper website, and a waiting list. Most days, I worked from my loft in leggings and slippers with music playing low and tea steeping on the windowsill. I said no when I wanted to. I said yes only when it aligned with my peace. Turns out, when you stop giving your life to people who drain you, you have a lot of energy left to build something real. I traveled more. I took a solo trip to Portland just to sit in bookstores and try every pastry in sight. I hosted a workshop for first-time founders. I gave advice without being asked, but this time people actually appreciated it. No one called me the responsible one like it was a leash. I was just Alina. And that was enough. Then one afternoon, a notification popped up on my phone message from Julian. It was short. Just a single sentence. Guess you got what you wanted. Hope you're happy. I read it once. Then again. Then I smiled. Not because it was cruel or pathetic. Because he was right. I did get what I wanted. I pressed delete, slid my phone across the table, and went back to reviewing a pitch deck for a local ceramics brand. The founder was 22 and terrified of screwing everything up. I liked her already. That night I poured a glass of wine and lit a candle just because I felt like it. I journaled. I stretched. I opened a book and didn't check my phone for hours. No emergencies. No guilt. No shame masquerading as family duty. Just my quiet little life. Built on my terms. For once I wasn't surviving someone else's dream. I was living mine.